Sayulita Wellness, home of your inner peace.
Hi, this is Kaylee back from Sayulita Wellness Retreat, and I'm here today with Gino and Megan, who I had the pleasure to meet recently on one of our beautiful retreats. So, welcome, Gino and Megan. How are you guys today?
Good.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and we're so excited to have you. So, I'd love to just jump in and ask what brought you guys to this retreat? Why were you interested?
Um, I've always been interested in doing things that would kind of help me open up and improve in certain ways. Although being hard, Megan has encouraged me to, find things, do hard things, and um, be open to experiences that might help. And also, I had an interest in being very, increasing my health and over time. Um, yeah, that's basically my reason for, you know,
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
wanting to do something like this.
Thank you, Megan, for encouraging him.
Yeah. Yeah, mine was pretty similar, but like for me, I had a bigger, I think, focus on trying to get a deeper connection. I think Gino wanted that too, but that was like the driving force for me is this looks like a really unique opportunity for some of the things we've been trying to do on our own to be supported and around people that could help facilitate that at a deeper level than what we've been able to do for ourselves.
That makes complete sense just to have that support and guidance throughout the process. So, you guys both did, of course, attend our couples retreat. So, do you want to first share a little bit about what you got out of it individually, and then we can talk about like the couples aspect?
Sure.
Okay. For me, it was just very easy to relax, calm down, connect with people. It seemed like everything was orchestrated and organized in a way to optimize um, openness, connectiveness, remove worry, and it was just really incredible. I think that that worked for me. Um, and all of the experiences that I went through contributed to optimizing opportunity for me to achieve the goals that I had set initially. Um, I guess that's a surface level.
Well, yeah, I know because I got the pleasure to meet you both of you, and I remember on the first day in the opening ceremony, and you're sitting over to my right, and I'm like, they look like a beautiful couple. I remember talking to Megan and both of you beforehand, and but then the transformation I saw on the other side of the retreat with just you guys just seem so much more peaceful, and I was like, wow, you guys look like you've been at the spa for like a year. Like you just look so relaxed and happy.
Right.
So it was cool just to see that transformation of you seemed like a beautiful couple before, but I could just tell you felt so much more relaxed and safe, like not only with each other, but just in the environment. So that was, and you were both just like glowing. Like I kept hearing people say, like, they're glowing. So that was pretty cool. So, Megan, why don't you share a little bit about your individual journey?
So yeah, I think definitely the relaxing piece was huge. While we were there, I really enjoyed the couples day, but we'll talk about that more when we when we talk about the couples experience and the individual ceremony that we did, and having that time. Like I I don't know if like I already knew going into the retreat that I have a tendency to try to control things more than I should. And I need to just let stuff go and like let people do their thing and I can take care of myself and what I can control. But even that showed up like during the ceremony because we were in the same room and I could hear what he was going through. And I kept getting like pulled over to that instead of focusing on my own experience. So um it I guess gave me even more like insight and motivation that I really need to make sure I'm being intentional about letting stuff be. Doesn't mean I'm much better at it yet, but like it's still like it's something that it's like, man, you couldn't even enjoy the ceremony completely because you were too busy trying to figure out how to help or like, but I didn't even say anything or do anything, but still like that was a lot of the thoughts that were going through my head. So, and that like kind of insight came to light more. We had a follow-up therapy session this past week. Like he did one on his own and I've done one, and then we're going to do one as a couple. We haven't done that one yet. But so when we were talking about my ceremony, it was kind of like, oh, I knew that that's what happened, but now I'm like, oh man, I really do try to control things more than I should.
I think it's a great realization, and I think it's not always a negative thing. It could just mean that you're a caretaker, and I think generally as women, I think sometimes we have a little bit more of that inclination to just be managing other people's emotional states. And I think you and I talked about this on the retreat of we both need to like let that go, just because it's not really our job, and it's not actually that helpful. And I know you've realized that in your own journey as a mother, which is really inspiring for me in the future. But sometimes we just put more things on our back that it's not our backpack, so we got to take it off. So,
Yep.
okay, beautiful. So I'm really excited to talk about the couple's experience. The one question I'm just going to ask before that is, do you mind just sharing a little bit about your experience with the staff and the team? Like, did you feel safe and supported? A little bit about your experience with the shaman as well, Nirvana and Alejandra.
Yeah, like I was saying, it just seemed like everybody was an expert in crafting an experience that makes you feel safe, relaxed, understand that you're just like held from all sort of um angles. The interactions were soft, compassionate, interested, everyone's interested in, how's your experience? The serving sort of mentality was always there. I was just like, I've never been anywhere like this before. How is this happening? Yeah.
That's awesome.
So they were incredible people. And it's not like you had to look for it. It was just like there all the time, and you're like, wow, is this real? But yeah, I thought that was wild, and then you sort of like take on that vibe and you relax, and then you kind of like reciprocate that. Even if you're maybe not used to it, it just starts to happen.
Yeah.
I think,
It's
yeah,
definitely like, when you think of frequency and vibration, when you're in a healing environment with this very loving vibration, it definitely helps entrain you to that higher vibrational state where you're like, oh, it's safe to be like open, it's safe to be like looking people in the eye, or just whatever little shifts you notice in yourself. Whereas normally I feel like in the Western world, it doesn't always feel like that, those things feel as safe. So I definitely feel like even if it's just for a brief time, it helps you realize what that experience of openness and connectivity really feels like.
right.
Mhm.
Megan, is there anything else you wanted to share about the team?
I just really thought it felt that they had planned and thought of everything. And how to keep you both physically safe, but also mentally safe as well. So having the therapy sessions built in during and after for integration, you're not just having these really intense experiences and then left to navigate it by yourself, but also the opportunity to share as much or as little as you want with the rest of the people going through it too is always really helpful, because you start to see, oh, I'm not the only one having this experience. And there's just something about being human and connecting with people over similar experiences that makes it feel better. And there was a lot of, guided opportunity for that as well. And the meals, even just like the way the meals were planned and the well, obviously it tasted very good, but just having that more like communal experience for eating and sitting down all together to share food is a really good way to connect with people too. And that was really nice to have that opportunity as well.
Yeah, I think that's really nice with the couples retreat is it's a good blend of the time together, the individual healing, and like it's structured so well that it's like first you do focus more on yourself, and then of course you get to come to the partnership. But just meeting other people and hearing their stories, I think is a really big part of it. I sometimes have people asking like, I just want to do a private retreat, just me and my partner. I'm like, that's totally fine. We can absolutely do that. But I do encourage you to consider like the group retreat aspect because you will have your private ceremonies, which are so important, your private therapy, your private massage, the private boat ride at sunset that you guys have. But like just hearing other people's stories, I think is like just a really nice, well-rounded part of it. So yeah, I'm glad that you've felt that way as well. And there's also like that there's not forced sharing of like, it's not group therapy, it's just like intention. So you still learn a little bit about people's stories, but it's not like too much like, too much of that for some people that find that uncomfortable. So, okay,
Right.
beautiful. So I know you guys are excited to talk about this part. So would you share a little bit about the couples day, the ceremony, the boat ride, really anything you'd like to share about how that really helped, I don't know, just make you guys feel more comfortable, both inside yourself and also in your partnership?
Okay, you can leave with
Oh,
it.
I'm going
Yep.
first this time. So, well, the day, yeah, it was like just really nice and relaxing. We started, I think it was like 9 o'clock in the morning. We took our first dose, um, and then we just immediately went and sat out. We had a balcony outside our room and this nice kind of couch thing, that lounge chair thing. And we just sat there, and pretty much like the timing was almost perfect that the therapist came as we were really starting to feel nice and relaxed and comfortable. So we had that nice time to talk to her, and it really felt like we were both more at ease and open, and able to share with her things that we wanted to share. So that was nice. And then just being able to spend that time together and ask questions, especially for me, I like to ask questions. I'm a very curious person and I want to know a lot, but I think sometimes for people that comes off like maybe I'm judging, it's like a judgment or something if they're not used to that, you know? So it's hard to have like a connected, just rolling, flowing conversation. But with the couples day and how relaxed we were, it was easy to do that and just sort of like melt into each other and just enjoy the view and feel like really present. And I'm a person that's constantly thinking and analyzing and on the go and what's the next thing we have to do. And to be able to just sit there and just enjoy. And it was funny because I love massages, and they came over at some point and said, "It's time for your massage." And I was like, no. like, that's how much I didn't want to do anything. I was just like, no, I'm good. I like just want to sit here and enjoy my time with Gino. Like, I don't even want to go do something else right now. So that really surprised me because again, I'm usually like when we first met, he kind of does a really good job of sitting and relaxing, and I don't. So to have that whole like however many hours it was, like 4 or 5, 6 hours to just sit and like not even care that we were just chilling and relaxing. And then of course ending it with when we came back into the room was set up very nice. I kind of don't even want to say because it was a nice surprise. Like we didn't fully know what to expect. So it was just nice to be surprised by some things. And then the boat ride was phenomenal. The tour guides were amazing at trying to help us, find whales. And we had a wonderful meal that was prepared by Sayulita, and we ate that on the boat. And just the sunset was like mysterious. It was there and then it disappeared and then it came back right at the end. So that was pretty cool too. But it was just like a perfect day to have, if I could picture what our day would be, it had like every piece of it that I would want. I just wish we could repeat it more often.
Right.
That's like a cool thing of like, and you're like, picture your ideal day. And it's like now you literally have already lived it and you can like drop back into that state. And I think sometimes that's the great thing about the plant medicine or the MDMA therapy is like you can kind of tune back into that state at times because you've at least experienced it. So it's almost like a threshold or like it's like a way to just remember that state of love and presence when you're, Megan feeling busy in your life or maybe he's better at relaxing, but I'm sure we all get stressed. It's like this helps you remember that state. And from there, you can kind of try to embody that more and more in your day-to-day life. So, I'm not sure if you experienced this, but when I personally did the MDMA, I was like, sometimes there were feelings that came up before the feeling of love or peace or connection. I was like, oh, there's some things are in the way of love sometimes, and I felt like that was interesting. So I'm not sure if you relate with that, but I felt like not only does it let your barriers come down, but you're also kind of find things that might be little blockages that you have. So, yeah, it's just
And
really
for me, it was, I mean, not to double click on, too many things that Megan said, but she captured it so well. I loved the entire experience that day because it's for me as a person who tends to lean towards avoiding and being closed off and constructing walls. Just, it's just so natural for me to do that so often. To have something sort of like introduced into me that gave me sort of this very compelling feeling to just not do it. I mean, it's just exhausting, just don't. And then to see what happened, with my connection and my openness and to find out that it actually is okay to interact without throwing the walls up and it's still safe and nobody's, trying to judge me or hurt me or whatever. Um, and just to learn that firsthand was, an incredible experience, I think, definitely for me. But yeah, like she said, that whole experience was organized beautifully. It was wild. It's like there's some very good engineering going on. And I've done things in the past, um, and this was just expert crafted. It was it was just so subtle. The MDMA experience was subtly on, amazing, and then subtly off, unlike anything I've ever experienced before, you know? So that was incredible. I
Nice.
enjoyed the entire experience.
Yeah, I definitely agree where like you're not even necessarily aware that it kicks in and then you're suddenly like just opening up and sharing your heart or wanting to touch somebody and you're like, whoa, I guess I'm feeling this.
Right.
So, and then were there any like good insights, and you don't have to share what they were, but just working with the clinical psychologist in that state, like, I'm sure you've done therapy sessions before, maybe individually, but what was that experience like, kind of, using the MDMA in that therapeutic setting?
Um, I thought it was the best possible option that I think existed for me to be able to open up as much as someone who like me who builds walls so often could. Um, and I enjoyed it, and I learned some things about myself, and I came away with new ideas and a new understanding that I can change things. It might not happen overnight, but I can make steps towards doing that, and it'll be okay. You know,
Yeah, that
that's
you're.
that's something I took away from it.
Yeah, Megan, anything else you wanted to share?
I just really loved the therapist, like that specific person. Unfortunately, neither one of us can remember her name. We should have brought it
I,
down, but
I think it was. I think you had Tioshi.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes, she is
So
fantastic. Yeah.
yeah, but she's wonderful. I actually think she messaged me. I need to reply. She's like follow up. But, so just her energy and like just matched really well with the experience we were having. She was really she it didn't feel like sometimes when you talk to therapists and they're sort of passive and like laid back, she was like real and she had a nice positive joyful energy, but she also was like just let me tell you how it is kind of too. So I think that mixture was really helpful and really helped bring out more. I mean, obviously the MDMA did too, but
Yeah.
with Gino, like I think that energy just matches well in
Mhm.
terms of feeling comfortable to share and like dive deeper onto things.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Their energy is really wonderful, and I would say she's also very intuitive, which is nice. So it's like you don't have to explain a lot of stuff. She's like picking up on a lot, and so it makes it a little bit easier because I think
Yeah.
sometimes that's the tiring part of therapy of like re-explaining yourself and all these patterns. And she's like, okay, she can see these things and help people. So, and I that's wonderful that you started to feel the effects right as she arrived, and it just all that's what I think with the schedule, like with Nirvana and the team, like they just have so much experience and they've created like this perfect schedule that like flows so well and really takes into account like recovery time, but also like integration activities and even just like, I don't know, like art therapy or just other fun things that you wouldn't normally try. Like it's fun to have that as like an experience. You're like, oh, I guess I could do this in my life, or I guess I could be this kind of person. So it's almost like you get to try on being like a different version of yourself a little bit. So
Mhm.
okay, wonderful. So, what led you to really choose our retreat? I know that there's so many ones out there. Like, how did you find us? Do you guys remember?
It was a Facebook ad and I loved the description and I had just recently come back from Sayulita for a different retreat that was a nervous system focused
Yeah,
retreat. It wasn't the same type of thing. And so I already knew I liked that part of the world, if you will. And then just we had our call with you and the way you explained the agenda and like the different things we would be doing. It's like, wow, this is everything like we've talked about wanting to try and see, especially for me, the deeper connection piece of it and having opportunity to guide that more. So that was for me and then he was just kind of along for the ride initially.
Right.
But
Yeah.
he was in the call. So I think being on the call really helped too. But I think you were gonna say yes just out of me wanting to do it.
Right. Well, I also like the things that I've been interested in with, like certain experiences, helping people open up and whatnot. When you explained to me that, there was the retreat with experts, I'm like, well, if I'm ever gonna do it, this is probably the time.
yeah. That's so wonderful.
The Thai massage sold you too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, all the time with that. That was funny. He was like, "Can we make sure to add that?" I'm like, yes. Oh, it's super funny. So, of course, it is a big investment. It's also an investment of time and travel. Like looking back, do you feel like the price and the whole experience was worth it to you guys?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I think it was an incredible experience with experts, and it made you feel welcome at home, safe, gave you opportunity to experience things and open up. I'd say definitely
Yeah.
100%.
And I think it's really difficult to even put a price tag on it, especially like we were talking about earlier, the number of people who are there to help support you and are genuine and authentic and connecting with you, and Nirvana, and the space that she's creating with sharing her expertise and wisdom with everyone. I mean, you can't really, I know there's obviously money has to go into like pay for things, but like really, and all of that you get while you're there, but then the effects afterwards too, and what you carry forward with you. I don't even know how you can quantify that,
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's a huge team that Nirvana manages and puts together, and like I'm like there's like such a small ratio. There's only a few participants, like 6 to 10 or 6 to 11, and then there's like 20 to 30 staff members and practitioners. So there's quite a big support team, which I think is so cool. And I love for the mushroom ceremony that it is like you have your individual trip sitter too. So like that kind of privacy rather than a group ceremony. I can tell for someone like Gino, Megan, maybe you could handle a group ceremony, but for me personally, like I like the privacy, and I think that that's just really nice. And if you feel more safe and connected to yourself and to your partner, and less distractions, right? So you're not worrying about other people. So
Right. And that was another thing too, that like during the ceremony, each of us had a person in the room with us to just be there in case we needed
Right.
anything. So even though like Gino mentioned doing it with experts or whatever, but it's beyond doing it with experts. You have the experts dosing and all of like determining all of that, but then you also have additional people on deck to if you have anything come up that you really need help with.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I remember every time I've been at the retreat center, people say like, I feel like the shaman was with me the whole time because you have your trip sitter and the shaman. They're like, I thought Nirvana was with me the whole time. They're like, how did she know? Like, they're like, her and Alejandra just know like when you need them and they're there with you. So, and like, yeah, just help you breathe, which is the main thing that you have to remember, I think. Um, so how would you explain like the difference between how you felt after the mushroom day and then after the MDMA day? Like, did you feel like that naturally, like that progression was really helpful for you to have that first and then that, next experience?
Well, so I don't know if I'm going to be kind of an outlier here or if this is common, but I personally preferred the MDMA day. For me, and maybe if I tried the ceremony truly in a room by myself, I'd have a different experience. But with how much I was like trying to dip in on his experience, but I didn't. So like I said, I'm constantly thinking and analyzing and exploring. And for me, for the mushrooms, it just it didn't exacerbate that, but I didn't feel like I had any besides the whole like I need to control less. But in terms of like major breakthroughs or experiences of like, ooh, I've never felt this way before. I felt really heavy and I felt really loopy afterwards, but I didn't feel in a way that's like, ooh, I'd like to feel like this more often, if that makes sense. But for the MDMA, it was just so again, so relaxing and like chill. And it's a way that even if I try hard, like if I go to a spa or I do some meditation or whatever, I can't reach that level of relaxation. So like you mentioned, being able to have that experience and then maybe tap into that more in the future. So that was my preference. I definitely like how we did the ceremony first because I think if I had done the MDMA first and like had that experience and then the ceremony, I probably would have been maybe frustrated. Like, wait, this doesn't feel as good as the MDMA did.
I,
Yeah.
um, and for me, I think the doing the mushroom ceremony first, sort of softened me up, opened me up, created less rigidity in how I feel and think, and like the walls that I throw up. Because when I was done with the ceremony, I was just like wanting to connect, like happy, like like I want to call my kids, and is Megan okay over there? And she's done, and it was just an interesting feeling to just want to just really reach out, and like the like emotions and stuff were just easy. And I think that made the MDMA experience much better, at least from my perspective, how I put it together.
Yeah, and
I
I
think it
think
was
I think sometimes too the mushroom ceremony can bring things to the forefront. I think when you know that you're there for another ceremony, sometimes it brings heavy things forward, and then the MDMA I think can resolve things. So sometimes I've seen that where like it's almost like they're one ceremony, but one's one part, and then the second ceremony is like the second half. So but yeah, I'm really glad that you guys had different experiences, but that like not everyone has the same experiences. Every ceremony is different, right? Every time you use any of the plant medicine. So, but I personally I understand the feeling of I had some heaviness come forward, and then with the MDMA completely resolve that tension, which is I think really cool. So, and I think it's a good reminder of how much tension is emotional too, and like those walls or just control and all those kind of stuff. So, we're all just human doing our best, divine and human at the same time. Well, thank you guys both so much, and just looking back, like how has this I of course, we're all human, we're doing our best, but how has this sort of shifted things or, improved certain areas of relationship going forward? Or have you noticed any day to day, like a little bit of shifts inside of each other or individually?
so for me, it planted some seeds that I don't know would have otherwise been able to really be planted and bear fruit. The fruit that I've seen is I analyze more on when I throw up walls, and I think about, okay, how can I stop doing that? I haven't been like the most successful uh in every time things pop up from throwing up those walls, but I think I've made some progress. I mean, I guess Megan can be the judge of that, for connection and stuff, but I feel more of a want, instead of like, this is the wall and that it is what it is and this is just how I exist. I feel more of this want to figure out how to, or learn how to stop that being my baseline, and I would like connectedness to be more of my baseline. Of course, I still have these like fears from my history, but I see the goal, and I know it's real now, so that's what's really changed for me.
Thank you.
I'll agree for you that definitely more opportunities for connection than before. And like even telling me that he's feeling connected, whereas before he would be like, why does that even matter? Or like, I don't want that because it'll just hurt later or something like that. So that's coming out more. And then for me, definitely, I think the two big things are one, as you mentioned, with how you have that experience with the MDMA and like feeling present. So trying to create that on its own, in just everyday life, like having some more present moments and not just like trying to go all the time. And then trying to, again, I was already doing it before the retreat, but I feel like I'm able to do it a little bit easier now. Like when there needs to be like, instead of trying to regulate someone else or control, like, and really push in on, well, I have all these ideas, and if you would just do this thing this way, it would work. I still do that initially, and then I like catch myself and I'm like, okay, nope, just let that go. Sometimes it takes longer, but it's more higher probability that that'll happen instead of me dragging it out for like hours trying to just get the person to see. But if you would just do this, then you'd be fine.
That's wonderful. Oh, thank you guys so much for sharing that. And I'm glad that it planted seeds and that you continue to water them. And also, Megan, yeah, creating like some more time for rest. It sounds like you guys each have medicine for each other, like Megan's ability to be more open with her emotions and Gino's ability to chill. And you guys can, be each other's teachers in those areas. So, which is really cool. And I always feel like the universe brings us our partners to help us balance out in certain ways. So, I think that's really beautiful. And I know that like you guys both really inspired everyone else on the retreat with just the shifts they saw. And especially after the MDMA day, they were like, wow, like we want what they're having. Like we want that level of openness and connection and glow and like just peace that you really both exuded. So and exude, currently, but it was just really inspiring. So I think that's cool to as well. So the last question I'm going to have for you guys today is what would you like, what would you say to other couples or individuals who are considering the retreat, but a little bit on the fence about it?
I would say to just take the leap. You're going to be okay. Everything is safe and so it's just you're going to be held and there's nothing to be afraid of. And you're going to learn some things. I I can't tell you how amazing this was for me. So it's just I don't know what else to say. It's just wild how great this was of an experience, and how worth it is. So yeah, that's for me.
Yeah, I mean, similar kind of the you deserve this. And we all, chug along and go through our day to day. But what's the point of being on this planet if we're not serving ourselves the best way we can? And I don't think there's much other experiences out there. Like this is when you think about indigenous cultures and the way before, a civilization, before like the big boom for Western civilization happened, like this is how humans were existing with using these different medicines and experiences and having this more tribal connected time together. And we're so far removed from that now, most people. So just giving yourself that opportunity for the possibility of what could happen when we get back to our roots and like really just allow ourselves to see what the full human experience can be and what can come of that. Like we all deserve to have that at least once, but ideally, more frequently than that.
That was really beautifully said. And thank you guys both for opening your hearts and trusting the process and like trusting the team. And I would say just, yeah, surrendering to the experience and letting that carry you and helping to, bring you to that version of yourself that was more relaxed or more open or less controlling. And definitely your willingness to participate and let go of those things has also helped you get those results. So, and yes, we are super lucky to have Nirvana and the team sharing their indigenous wisdom and just to have like a place that's so safe and non-judgmental and that's where you feel like so safe that you can relax because the schedule's taken care of. I think those things are rare nowadays. And also having the blend of the Western medical support too, and just the doctor and, you feel safe in all kind of ways, emotionally, physically, spiritually. So thank you
Right.
both. Yeah. Oh,
Sorry, what reminds me of one story of how safe we felt. And we told you all this, but like we felt so safe when we went to go on the boat ride. We had to, they took us into town and we didn't even bring our passports or like anything. We just got in the car and went and we were there. And I was like, oh yeah, but that's how much we trusted. Like we're taken care of. We're fine. Whether we're on the property or like they're taking us somewhere else, we're totally fine and safe here.
Yeah.
Like you came back and you were like, we didn't even take any money. Like we didn't need anything. Oh, that's super cute. But it's true. Like you get to the boat, they have your dinner, the boat captain greets you, takes you onto your private sailboat, like at the
Yeah.
harbor. I think you guys saw whales that day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've seen baby whales, big whales. That was wild. I can't even believe it. It's like, how did you guys put this together? How do you know where the whales are?
the whale is a paid actor. Just kidding. We have like our drone operator with the whale.
It was like, how'd they do this? I don't get it.
Cue the sunset reappearing.
We're really living in an
That
alternate
was wild.
reality.
Yeah, it's like, are we in simulation here?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the Truman Show. He's like in the boat getting to that. Oh, well, thank you guys so much for sharing your stories and opening your hearts and like just being willing to grow as humans and as parents and as partners and for being who you are. So it was really fun to meet you both in person and also to see your journey continue and your connection really deepen. I mean, everybody on the tree was like, wow, they've got something really special. Like they really love each other. I remember Megan telling me the story of how you first met and just like from just your name, Gino, she was drawn to you and another girl on the retreat later was like, you can just tell he loves loves her so much. Like the way he looks at her, it was really cute.
Oh.
So thank you guys for being an inspiration to others of, beautiful partnership that's not perfect, but, always seeking progress. So yeah.
And of course, we have to express our gratitude to you for helping get us there, and to Sayulita and the whole team, because again, it's just phenomenal the work that's being done there. And it's effortful. That takes a lot to take on other people's emotions and experiences. And they just do it so beautifully. So we are extremely grateful.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, the on-site team, like, and Nirvana and the whole crew, like, they're just like the most loving, like, present people. Like, they're just so at home in themselves that you feel like more at home and safe when you're with them, I would say, which is great. So, especially when we're coming from the Western world, where our minds are moving a million miles a minute. So, well, thank you both so much, and I will look forward to helping, sharing this story and helping inspire other couples with your story. So, thank you.
Thank you.